Now, public sexual harassment, like wolf whistling and catcalling and worse, could become a crime under plans to make the streets safer.
A long-awaited strategy to combat violence against women and girls will be unveiled today, with Home Secretary Priti Patel vowing to take action against street harassment in England and Wales.
In the wake of the public outcry sparked by the abduction and murder of Sarah Everard by the then Met police officer Wayne Couzens, the government received 180,000 responses to help shape the strategy to better protect women and girls.
A new national police lead will be created to ensure officers take abuse and violence against women more seriously and improve their response times to such crimes.
Well, what are the gaps in the existing law? Let's talk to Chris Daw QC, barrister and author of Justice on Trial. Hi, Chris. Thank you for joining us on GB News. I mean, some people will balk at the suggestion that wolf whistling could be a crime, but the logic is that you start by wolf whistling, you might end up flashing, you might end up going on to commit some quite serious crimes. Is that is that coherent as an argument?
No, it's completely incoherent nonsense, frankly. We have as many laws as we could possibly ever need in respect of harassment, public order, other forms of threatening or harassing behaviour on the streets. All of those laws exist. All of them could be readily enforced if there was an appetite to do so. But picking up on your question, when you criminalise very sort of relatively low-end behaviour, what happens is you give someone a criminal record. And once someone's got a criminal record, even if it's a fairly minor offence, it affects their whole life and in fact makes it much more likely that that person is going to escalate in their criminality, because once someone's in the criminal justice system for the first time, what tends to happen is they lose their fear of it, and therefore they are much more likely to go on to escalate through levels of crime and to commit further offences. So for me, this is a political gimmick. It's totally unnecessary. We have all the laws we need already in this country. We have far too many criminal laws, in my opinion, and the resort to the criminal justice system to deal with whatever latest thing has been in the media is frankly something we need to be just stop in this country, because it doesn't work. It just makes things worse.
Yeah, but Chris, the argument is that if you criminalise something like this, that's quite a deterrent.
Well, it isn't. I mean, that's nonsense. The evidence is very clear that criminalising behaviour, particularly fairly low-level behaviour, does nothing to reduce the prevalence of that behaviour. It simply criminalises it, and thereby, as I say, criminalises a whole range of people who currently wouldn't be criminalised. And the real question on this issue of harassment, whether it be of women or of other groups in our society, is what are we doing with our young people? Why do so many young men in particular, but you know, sometimes young women resort to abuse and harassment in our streets? And I can tell you one thing, after nearly 30 years in the criminal law, the one thing that won't stop it is just using the criminal justice system more. It's basically giving away responsibility from, you know, the education system, from our society, the responsibilities we all should have, you know, to pick up on people. You know, if you see somebody who's behaving inappropriately or harassing or being, you know, offensive to a woman or anyone in the street, you know, we as members of the public, we should be saying, stop it, don't do it. You know, we should have the courage, you know, to kind of self-police our society rather than expecting everything to be done by laws and the justice system, which frankly just don't work.
The majority of women and girls do not feel safe on our streets. If you go out on your own, if you're on a quiet street, if there is a man walking behind you, if it's dark, that is a daily routine for women and girls in this country. So it's okay to say, well, we don't need new laws, but how long are we going to feel like this? It happened, you know, my mum would have been in the same generation, her mum would have been in the same generation. It's been going on for generations. Do we just have to put up with it? We're scared to walk the streets at night.
No, we don't have to put up with it. And I appreciate that it's predominantly women who are the victims of this, but young people, including young men, are often harassed and subject to threats and even violence on the streets. It says something about our society. I mean, I do think, coming back to the criminal justice system, there is a really fundamental issue, which is that the streets of our country have largely been abandoned by uniformed police officers. I don't want to sound like my dad going on about officers on the beat, but the truth of it is, when police officers have had their numbers cut by tens of thousands, and when there are hardly any police patrols on the streets, even in areas where there is a large amount of harassment and violence, it's hardly surprising that those who wish to engage in that behaviour feel emboldened to do so and feel that nothing's going to happen. But as I say, the truth is you don't just need more criminal laws. What you need is, certainly in areas which are crime hotspots or areas where women or members of the public are particularly frightened, you've got to have visible presence from police officers on the streets, because that's the only thing that's going to deter this kind of behaviour, not something that's just done in Parliament.
You're being remarkably thick, but surely if it's not criminalised, the presence of police isn't going to make any difference.
But that's my point. It is criminalised already. If you harass somebody or you cause them harassment, alarm, or distress, that's already a criminal offence under the Public Order Act. So we have that. We have the Protection from Harassment Act. We have, laws of assault, which can include threats, verbal or oral threats of violence, as well as actual violence. So we have all of these laws already. And if they're not stopping people harassing and threatening people in the street, then another load of laws are not going to do it either. You can have 100 laws criminalising whatever you like, but if there are no police officers around to actually kind of ensure that public safety is maintained, then the laws are not going to do it. So, as I say, I mean, time and time again, we have a story in the news. I mean, the fact that you link the Everard murder case to this issue, frankly, it's ludicrous. You're talking about a horrific, awful case.
The reason why we did that is because that's what led to the consultation, which so many women responded to. It was in the wake of that terrible, terrible murder that the consultation was set up, because it was a recognition that women and girls were not safe on our streets. I just want to ask you another aspect about the plans, if I may. Slightly different. It's about gagging clauses and outlawing gagging clauses, which are used to stop women reporting harassment. Does that sound sensible to you? There shouldn't be gagging clauses.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a very difficult one, that, because if a woman wishes to reach a confidential settlement, for example, with her employer around such an issue, and wishes to receive compensation, if she's prevented by law that any confidentiality agreement will be unenforceable, the problem may be that those agreements won't be reached and that women won't be compensated for what they've suffered. So I don't think it's a straightforward issue that you just ban confidentiality agreements in one category of case. One thing you need to understand, though, is as a matter of criminal law, is that you cannot gag someone by law from reporting a crime to the police. So even if, say, for example, someone's been subjected to a sexual assault in the workplace or another form of sexual offence, it doesn't matter what they sign, that doesn't stop them going to the police. And so my message as a criminal lawyer is, if you've been the subject of a criminal offence and you wish to report that to the police, it doesn't matter. And if someone tries to put pressure on you not to, or to sign a piece of paper saying, I won't go to the police, they're breaking the law, and you can report them too.
Chris, it's really good of you to give us your time this afternoon. Chris Daw QC, always good to hear your view. Thanks.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.